morning, good morning, good morning. It is me, Sharifah Hardie, one of your favorite people I know. And if you haven't added me to your favorite people list, I went ahead and added myself because I just know it's just something that I do. I brought to you an interesting show today, and I am sure you're going to love it. And because I'm so sure, before I even get started, I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do, and that is to go ahead and share this show. I guarantee you, this show you will want to share because if not, you're going to come back and your friends are going to say, why didn't you tell me they were on the show? I'm telling you now, share it because friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So I want to go ahead and introduce our first guest, Mr. Irwin Stromeyer. Irwin is going to talk to us a little bit about his theories, his beliefs, and what's going on in the world. Good morning, Irwin. How are you?
Good morning, my dear. How are you doing today?
I feel like I was feeling good, but then I tuned into your background, and now all of a sudden I'm like, is that a disease? Like, is that what is that?
What you're seeing, the blue strand is a DNA strand. The greenish cell that you see there is actually a COVID cell, or basically a coronavirus cell. And I used this background simply because my office is a mess at the moment, and I don't want anybody to see it.
Now, one of the things that I enjoy about hosting this show is that just going through the bios. And in your bio, you put it out there. You specifically said like 99% of the world is not going to agree with me. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I know what I know. So you have an interesting view on COVID-19, and I would love for you to share it.
Well, let me start first by saying exactly what it is I do and why I have that view.
Okay.
In an industry relatively new, I've been doing it for about 7.5 years. It's called public infection control. And most people think, oh, you own a cleaning company. And no, it's not a cleaning company. We actually go after the germs. We come into facilities. We do lots of child care centers where we decontaminate everything down to its virgin surface, terminally disinfect everything to kill every last germ in the place if at all possible, and then use a specialized antimicrobial coating on all surfaces that basically refuses to provide newly deposited microbes a friendly surface where they can survive, thrive, and colonize your surfaces. So we drastically reduce the ability for invasive microbes to survive in your place and then to thrive and colonize, meaning spread themselves all over your surfaces. Now, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, and I've learned something in the last day or two, that COVID-19 is now referred to as the name of the disease we get from SARS-CoV-2 infection, okay? And I think it's, it's obvious that it's a global health issue at this point. I mean, over the last 3-4 months, this thing has just gotten huge. And I think that as Americans, we have a responsibility to each other to really try and curtail the spread of this infection. And it doesn't help that it's become a highly charged political issue. And it just blows me away that people are like, oh, it's not that bad. Not that many people are dying. You know what? Tell me that after, God forbid, it takes one of your family members. Then you'll have a truly different view of this whole thing. I get asked a lot if the services that I provide are effective against the viral infection. And I keep having to try and remind people that a virus in and of itself is a living organism, but it can't do much by itself. It must take a host cell. It must invade another cell and hijack the operations within that cell to make copies of itself and to be able to spread. Otherwise, a virus is actually very, very fragile and very easy to kill, or at least most of them are. So what I try to tell people is, look, our services are effective against the microbes that the infection of the virus will invade. And if you kill the host cells, then you severely limit the virus's ability to colonize and infect other people.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel, and this is just a feeling, I mean, you might or might not, but do you feel that many people aren't taking this virus serious?
Unfortunately, from a political point of view, yes. I think there are a lot of people, I've met a lot of people through Facebook and other endeavors of mine, and I've talked to a number of them during this unfortunate incident, and some are like, oh, it's so overblown. I'm like, guys, this is not a game. This is a global health crisis. And I just don't understand it. I mean, I watch the news and I hear about these teenagers having COVID-19 parties to see who's going to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Is America's youth that stupid or just that uninformed? And I think we're having this huge problem with this simply because of the politics that is driving the effort to downplay it.
Irwin, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah. Have you been infected yet?
Fortunately, no.
Okay, good. All right, that's good to hear.
And I play with germs all day long because that's my job. But
well, that's
no.
why I asked too, because I thought you probably have a greater chance of actually catching the virus, being the fact that you're actually in the industry.
Well, that's true, but actually, what I'm told are my three most fantastic attributes to catch it is the fact that I'm 59, type 2 diabetic, and recently had open heart surgery.
Okay, so you are all of the things. You should be living in some sort of a bubble in the middle of the ocean at this point, because
the thing is, fortunately, I do know how to protect myself. I do go out in public. I mean, not like when I'm walking a dog around the neighborhood, but like if I go to the store or anything, I keep a box of masks in my car, in my truck. I usually have 3 or 4 in my pocket. And I also firmly believe, because of what I do, in using gloves if you leave the house.
Okay. But you can't use gloves like all the time, right? Because the gloves themselves get contaminated and you have to dispose of the gloves right away. You can't just keep wearing the same pair of gloves.
That's absolutely true. But the way you can extend the daily life of a glove is with a little hand sanitizer. So if you've walked into a building, you grab the front door, you open the door, you went over, you pressed the up button for the elevator, you got inside, you pressed the button for the floor, you came out, you went to the office that you were going to, you opened the door handle, you touched the counter. If you keep hand sanitizer on you, you can actually use that to keep the gloves as biologically clean as you can with that. Okay. And then usually once I go back to the car, that pair of gloves comes off from visiting that location. And when I get back out of the car, a new set of gloves go on.
Wow.
Now, Irwin, I saw an article the other day that at least 30 types or brands of hand sanitizer has been deemed not safe to use. Did you see anything like that?
Actually, the issue regarding that back in, I want to say it was 2015, when the FDA outlawed triclosan-based antimicrobial soaps, hand lotions, and hand sanitizers, because they had determined that they had no beneficial effect and could potentially cause other skin issues, because those things are all over your skin. I did not see the one that was published the other day that you're talking about. Fortunately, but unfortunately, I've been, busier than a one-armed paper hanger.
It's very impressive. It's just getting the information out there. That's one of the things we have to do, is get a lot more information out there. Irwin, how are we getting this information out there about how serious and the threat of COVID-19? Even just mentioning what you did about the gloves, people just say, you wear these gloves, that's it. That's the first time I've heard it broken down, explained the way that you did. How are we getting this information out there?
Well, I mean, I don't know how things are where you are, but here in New
California.
Jersey, yeah, what part of California, by the way?
Long Beach.
I have a place out in Palm Springs.
Oh, okay. I'm actually closer to you, Irwin, then. I'm in Fontana, so.
Fontana where, New Jersey?
No, Fontana, California. You need to come back out to Southern California more.
Yeah, but anyways, no, around here in Jersey, a lot of stores have been putting up signs and no mask, no service, stuff like that. some people are very testy about that.
Mhm.
But you want to know something? I mean, I know a lot of people have said we're sick of hearing that we're all in this together, but the truth is we're all in this together. And it
I'm not sick of hearing that, Irwin. Like, honestly, I'm not sick of
you know,
hearing that.
but
I wish people would say that a million times all day. I may have to record it and just play it on repeat. Like that, I think that's the one thing, aside from race issues and COVID-19, that people don't understand. One way or another, we are all in this together.
yes, and the thing is that, you know, you go around in different places, and yeah, if people are 30, 40, 50 feet away from you, you know, I don't care if they're wearing a mask or not.
Mhm.
All right. But, you know, in the supermarket, people who walk in without a mask, even though there's like 14 signs before you get inside, and you're like, you know, I'm not having my rights trampled on. I'm not going to be told what to do. I'm like, buddy, it's not about that. It's not about that. All right. Well, they've taken away our ability to go pray in our houses of worship. No. The problem is when you have people congregated in a tight space, and this is essentially airborne at this point, because every time people with it who are asymptomatic exhale, they exhale virus infected microbes. Okay. And anybody, I mean, when you sneeze, when you cough, there are micro spray, micro droplets that are so small and so light, they can literally hang out in the air for anywhere from 10 minutes to a half an hour. And if you happen to walk through what they coughed out or sneezed out and you happen to inhale, yes, you can catch it. And, you know, unless you're going to be fortunate enough to be asymptomatic, you're going to have some side effects from it. You're going to have some indicators, whether it's the dry cough, whether it's the headaches, whether it's the loss of taste, or whether it's just absolutely feeling like you're going to die. Okay. And I just, it's so hard to get people to understand sometimes because it has been so politicized. And the only thing you can do is try to be nice to people and try to explain to them, you know, hey, look, I'm not asking you to put that mask on because I'm trying to get you to do something you don't want to do. I'm not asking you to not pray. I'm just asking you, you know what? Don't put yourself in jeopardy. Don't put the person next to you in jeopardy. And that's really what it's all about, is putting the person next to you in jeopardy. You know, if you're sick, if you've got the flu, if you've got whatever, okay, and you're smart about it, you want to get through it and past it as fast as possible. It means you want to go to the doctor, you want to seek out recommended treatment, you want to try and get yourself better, okay? Because there are lots of infections out there you can die from. It just doesn't have to be COVID, all right? And depending on what other underlying health conditions you have, like my age, my former heart disease, my type 2 diabetes, I mean, some people have a lot more problems than that, okay? But the thing is, people have to understand that it's not all about you. It's about all of us. And the problem is, if you're asymptomatic, or if some of your friends that you're out with are asymptomatic, and you come near me, you know, I'm waiting in line to get, you know, pick up some food or what have you, or pick up something at a store or at the gas station, and you guys walk by and you're all jibber jabbering and sneezing or coughing or whatever, all right, I might catch whatever you've got, especially if it's COVID. All right. And then if I'm thinking like you are, that, you know, I don't need a mask. This is all a bunch of malarkey. It's all overblown, which it isn't. All right. How do you know that I'm not going to be the person who, asymptomatically or not, infects another person who happens to know your grandmother? And then that person gives it to their child, let's say, who's your friend, who wasn't in the group with you, all right? And that person, that child, that teenager, whatever, goes to visit their grandparent, gives it to them, and they die from it. Or get so severely sick that maybe...
I would feel,
Yeah.
Are you assuming that everyone's not wearing masks in these examples, though? Because it sounds
there's a lot of people that aren't wearing masks. I don't know whereabouts you're geographically located, Jared.
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. So yeah, I mean we have mask mandates going on right now here. But
Right, and there are, granted,
are you wearing a mask inside at grocery stores and places? I mean,
What's that?
Okay, so if you're wearing a mask, then how do you get it?
Well, first of all, it just really reduces the opportunity. It doesn't negate it.
All right.
Okay. So if you're wearing a surgical mask, okay, unlike the KN95s, which more or less seal around your face.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're just wearing surgical masks, a lot of the air that you breathe, yes, it comes through the mask, which is good, but some of it gets in the sides or in by the nose area because it is not forming a seal.
Right.
Okay. And I think that, they've pretty much proven that bandanas are next to useless. Okay.
They are completely useless, yeah, because they don't actually seal.
Yeah. And the thing is, a gentleman I know via Facebook, who I do have a lot of respect for, he's been trying. He's of a different political thought process than I am, and he's been sending me stuff about, oh, well, look at this letter from CDC. It says that that the N95s are useless, and actually the original N95s are not the right mask to wear because they have a little, like a port on them for when you exhale. Now, that flaw for the use against COVID-19 also exists with more expensive respirator masks with the filters on them. Yeah. Okay? Because when you exhale out of those types of masks, it's not filtering what you're exhaling. It's only filtering what you're inhaling. So unless you're wearing a mask that covers this part of your face relatively well, okay, whether it's a surgical mask, and I saw something interesting the other day. A lot of people, when they put on these surgical masks with like the rubber band things that go around your ears, as they're putting them on, they flip the rubber band things so that the point of the band up here and down here crisscross as they go backwards and pull the bottom of the mask up tighter against the bottom of your face and the upper part of the mask down tighter against the top of your face, which is actually a very good idea. But the whole point is to minimize. You're not, unless you wear a sealed rebreather contained unit, okay, so that
just to minimize
or exhale is filtered. 1 second, I just want to say something about what Jared just said, and it's one of the points that's being made on a lot of the news lately, which is, you know what? We're starting to see that we don't really know a lot about this particular infection, and that, how can it be that so many people can be walking around with it and they don't know they have it, all right? Or they're being asymptomatic. There may be something to what you said about the medication with the receptors, and that may be true. We're learning which drugs that we already have might have benefits.
Yeah.
Okay? That hydroxychloroquine is definitely not one of them.